Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be talking about a new Sigilyph card. A kind of fun, interesting, moderately exciting Sigilyph card that could really do some damage, and I mean that literally and figuratively. It was revealed on the official YouTube today. Our translation comes from Google Translate, though the lovely Primal Lugia did help us out quite a bit with this one. And starting off with the basics, we got 110 HP, which for a basic is fine. It's there with Zapdos. Zapdos is alright. It's got a retreat cost of 1, which means U-turn board will be lovely for helping you retreat, so that's quite nice. Weakness to lightning, not ideal. Pikachu and Zekrom are still everywhere. Lightning decks are still great. Boo, hiss, etc. And you do have a resistance to fighting. Essentially, you've been given the flying suite tier. Weakness to lightning, resistance to fighting. And if Pikachu and Zekrom remains awesome, people are going to play more and more fighting. You are going to be able to take advantage of that. Now, you are a psychic Pokemon. That's awesome. It means mysterious treasure, which is lovely to help search you out. It means you can use a bit of the old Malamar if you want to accelerate a bit of energy. It means that you can use Spell Tag to drop a little bit of damage when you get KO'd. It also means you're hitting weakness against Mewtwo and Mew, which, not for nothing, just went and won the International Championships in Oceania just last night. Or this morning, I suppose, depending on what time zone you're in. And a lot of the time we say, well, you know, they can take away their weakness with Jirachi GX, and I've been telling you for a while that Jirachi GX is seeing less and less play. It wasn't featured in the winning deck, which incidentally is the same deck with which Tordoreklev got top 8. So, being able to hit for weakness against one of the best Pokemon in the game, yeah, that's pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds pretty gosh darn good to me. So what does it do? Well, starting off with the attack, if it is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, you place 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Yeah, sounds about right. We've seen attacks like this over and over again. It's a fairly standard kind of retaliate attack. I mean, we see this in every game, right? This is not new. We've seen this on a bazillion Pokemon in the past. I mean, Druddigon, always a huge fan of using this style of attack. We saw this on the very first Druddigon we ever got, back in Noble Victories, which was quite nice, which actually then did get reprinted in Legendary Treasures, and then we saw this pretty much exact same thing on Druddigon. In fact, the Druddigon from Dragon Majesty has this exact same attack, because it does place 3 damage counters. The earlier Druddigon only placed 2. And the thing is, this is nice, but you've got to have something else with it. What I'm saying is, right, you got a single prize Pokemon, and to be fair, easily searched out with stuff like Mysterious Treasure. Don't forget, we've got Quick Ball and all at the moment. It's an easy Pokemon to get out. It's an easy Pokemon to get in the active. Your opponent attacks, they take 3 damage counters. That alone is quite nice. If you need to buy yourself a turn, if you need to give up a prize, I'm kind of all in favour of this. Generally speaking, though, we do need a little bit more. Now, one of the things to remember at the moment is we've actually got a bunch of good options for if you're behind on prizes. We've got Counter Gain, which lets you reduce your energy cost by 1. We've got Lieutenant Surge's Strategy that lets you play 2 supporters in addition to itself. If you're a fighting Pokemon, we got Martial Arts Dojo to do an extra 40 damage, and Karate Belt to reduce your attack cost by 1 fighting energy. So maybe you just whack this in the active, go down on prizes while doing damage but without having to dedicate any energy to it, knowing of course that if your opponent attacks into it, you're going to be fine, and if they don't attack into it, you've got a nice low retreat cost to get out the active. For that alone, I really like this. And I like it more than the Druddigon from Dragon Majesty, well, because it's easy, well, Okay, right, I like it more than the Drudigan from Dragon Majesty because... let's go fighting resistance. I was looking there and I'm like, well, they've got the same HP, and they've got the same retreat cost, and they can both be searched with mysterious treasure, so I was floundering a little bit, but it's got a resistance to fighting. Of course, having said that, it's also got a much worse weakness, so let's say I like it more than Drudigan for the attack. You see, the attack is way better than the Drudigan. 1 psychic, 1 colourless energy, 30 damage, plus 10 damage for each damage counter on the defending Pokemon. Yeah, that's going to add up pretty quickly. Of course, thematically it works of itself here beautifully. They attack you, they take 3 damage counters, you then hit them for 60 damage because they've got 3 damage counters on them. And this is fine, that is a use for it if you want. But let's face it, this is Wobbuffet. This is the old Wobbuffet that we all used to play. Now, to be fair, that Wobbuffet did have an ability that turned off abilities. Okay, other than Psychic. But then again, it did 10 plus, not 30 plus. And I don't know if you were playing when Wobbuffet was around, although it is still legal and expanded. I was, incidentally. And what I can tell you about Wobbuffet is this. Phenomenal finisher. Absolutely phenomenal. Let's take something like Giratina, because if you're playing a Malamar deck, which is pretty much where this is going to fit, you're probably playing Giratina. Good non-GX attacker. Now, it's got an ability that lets you bring it from the discard onto the bench and drop 2 damage counters, 1 to each of 2 bench Pokemon. That's quite nice. But for free energy, it does 130. Well, if you do 130 and then bring in Sigilyph, Sigilyph then does 160, that's 290 in total. That's an Arceus, Dialga and Palkia with 280 HP going down for free prizes. 2 hitting for free prizes is fine. If they're 1 hitting for 1 prize and you're 2 hitting for 3 prizes, that works out pretty nicely. Yes, there's always a chance your opponent drops a Mallow and Lana and starts healing the damage off. Well, I mean, if they do, they do, right? It's one of those things. It's a risk you take. But now we start looking at this Sigilyph and going, oh, yeah, that's actually pretty good at this stage. We actually kind of like this. Because I do kind of like this. The thing is, it's kind of a weaker version of other Pokemon we've got or had in the past. In terms of the ability, it's Drudigan. You can decide if you like it more than Drudigan or not. Drudigan's not seen a huge amount of play, though. Although, to be fair, the one from Noble Victories kind of did. But then again, the one from Noble Victories for free energy did 60 damage and stopped you retreating, so it had a much better attack. And the attack here is kind of like Wobbuffet, which did see a lot of play. But then again, Wobbuffet had the amazing ability, and let's face it, saw play for the ability more than anything. But anyone that played Wobbuffet decks will know Wobbuffet did see play for the attack. Wobbuffet's attack did get used. And that's kind of my point here. It's gonna get used again. There is a lot to like about this. I like the ability, I like the attack, and I think it all adds up to a really kind of useful Pokemon. I could see this as a one-off in a bunch of decks, because of the ability to just buy yourself a bit of time while doing damage. And here's the key point here, right? You're doing damage without having to use any energy. But I could also see it as a one-off in Malamar decks, so that if you do 2-hit KO, you 2-hit KO a lot better. Instead of having to put free energy on a second Giratina to do 130 and 40 to one of your Pokemon, you're putting 2 energy on a Sigilyph to do 160. That's better. And let's face it, right, Sigilyph have always been a bit tricksy, weird Pokemon. We had the really nice one from Dragons Exalted with Safeguard, which protected it from EX Pokemon, while doing more damage for each energy on there. We had the really nice one from the Plasma series, from Plasma Blast, which let you put 4 tools on and was really good with the tool drop Trubbish. We had the GX not that long ago, that came around in Lost Thunder, whereby if you damage it, you take that much damage back, assuming it's an EX or a GX that attacks you. It's a kind of fun Pokemon, and this one carries on that tradition quite nicely. I don't think it's a phenomenal Pokemon, I don't think you're going to build a deck around it, and I don't think you're going to leave it there in the active for turn after turn poking away at your opponent, and then dropping a big attack. Although, to be fair, It is worth pointing out that if your opponent wants to use something like a Cinccino to accelerate energy, they're going to do 40 to you and then take 30 back, and that's going to be kind of annoying. But I do think that either the ability or the attack can make it a really nice tech in something like a Malamar deck, so I'm going to give it between 3 or 4 Wassies. 3 and 4 Wassies. Either way, we don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. Well, that's my thoughts on Sigilyph. I'd like to know your thoughts on Sigilyph. So let me know in the comments section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are completely awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.